Shelley, can I just check, is there anyone still in the waiting room?
No, there is no waiting room. They can just join as they come.
Okay, I see that we are already at 5 minutes past 6. So I would suggest that we begin the meeting. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Glendale Home family meeting. I would like to thank Shelley for initiating this. It's been a while since we've had a family meeting, and we decided that it is important to have these meetings from time to time to create a forum for families in which we can update you on what is happening at Glendale, and also a forum to consult with you about matters and to hear your views on matters and the care that your loved ones are receiving at Glendale. So thank you once again for making your time available this evening. Just to run through the agenda very, very briefly, we're going to be introducing to you our board members, some of which you have not met before. We will then be going over to a short financial update on Glendale. Then we will run through some strategic snapshots in terms of where we're at. And then finally, we're going to look at future forecasts in terms of Glendale, and that will really go to the meat of this evening's meeting and in terms of why we wish to speak to you. So without wasting any further time, I'm going to call upon our board members to introduce themselves. I think there may be one new person on this call who perhaps doesn't know me, so perhaps I do need to introduce myself first. I am Judith Cohen. I'm the current chairperson of the Glendale Home Board. I'm also currently the chairperson of Jewish Care Cape, the umbrella body which oversees the 7 care and welfare organizations within the Cape Town Jewish community. My background is in law. I am an attorney, and I, as chairperson, drive governance on the board and also advocacy around disability. That is what I've been told that I should focus on as the chairperson. So without further ado, I'm going to call on Leanne Singer to introduce herself to everyone.
This is me in this box. Hello, everybody. Good evening, friends and family. I'm pleased to meet you on this forum. It would have been much nicer to meet you in person, but we're grateful for the opportunity you have this evening. My day job is as sales and marketing director for the Singer Group. We are a family-owned business that's got a long-standing history in the Western Cape. I am very proud to say that Barney Singer was my father-in-law, and he is a legend in the Cape Town Jewish community, and he was a fierce Zionist. And it's one of the reasons why I decided to join the Glendale board. They passed, Barney and Esther sadly passed away beginning of 2020 and 2021, apologies. And I felt it was my duty and my honor to carry on the good work that Barney's done in the community. So the reason I'm here is I really liked what I saw as an outsider, what Glendale was doing, the work that they was doing and the change that it made over the years under the leadership of Shelley and the guidance of the board. So I'm proud to be here because it is a well-run organization. It's a transparent organization, and my role on the board is to make Glendale a popular brand, is to make Glendale a household name, and is to help raise lots of funds to load in the bird on the day-to-day operations of the board, of the home, and on our families who cannot contribute what they would love to contribute, but just financially cannot. So I am not afraid to ask for the money when I have to. I'm not afraid to do cold calling. In fact, I love challenges like that. So I hope that I can add value and show the families and the friends that I'm a deserved board member. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne. May I ask everyone to please mute themselves?
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Leanne. And thank you for bringing your wealth of experience in the areas of marketing and fundraising, and for assisting us and putting in the many hours that you do behind the scenes. I'm going to move on to the person who is next to you on my screen, and that is Hayley Rogoff. I think some of you may already know Hayley.
Can you hear me? Because Judith, you've gone quiet on mine. Oh, good. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Some of you do know me. I see Solly and Warren Shoyer. I'm an occupational therapist by profession. I currently run a business called Professional Minds. We run upmarket CPD, continued professional development training and education for pediatric professionals, therapists, and educators. And really the aim is to uplift and upskill and inspire our South African professionals to be the best that they can be. And that's really where my passion is. I guess that's part of the reason why I studied OT and why I love what I do, but I really am deeply passionate about helping people to lead their best lives, to lead lives that are meaningful, valuable, purposeful, and for everybody, no matter what challenge they have, to contribute to society in their own way and feel like they're a contributing member of society. And I guess that's really where my role lies at Glendale. And when Shelley phoned to say, to ask me if I would consider being on the board, I've got a very long history with Glendale. In fact, I grew up at Glendale. My parents were on the Glen, then it was called the Glenjoy Group. And every Sunday we were at Glendale, and some of the residents that are there today grew up with me. On Sundays we played together. It was still a school and a home in those days. And for years, that's what we did on a Sunday afternoon. And so it's a beautiful journey. It kind of feels like I've come full circle to be in a position to give back and to support and to help to advocate and give a voice to the residents and help them to really have the opportunity to live their best life. So my portfolio is wellness and care, and to offer support to Shelley and her incredible team of heroes to just help our residents to live their very best lives. As I said, I've seen Glendale through the ages, and I have to say, when I came back, I was on the committee before and then came back now, more recently, and I was blown away when I walked around the home and chatted to the residents. There is an energy, there is a life and a soul, and people are happy and smiling and connecting, and it's just beautiful and really such a privilege for me to be a part of this team and to contribute in whichever way I can. So hoping, as Leanne said, and really deeply passionate and committed to adding value, and looking forward to the journey ahead and to doing the very best that we can.
Hayley, thank you so much, and also thank you for all the time and for all your passion that you put into assisting at Glendale with as many programs and for all the work that you do. I'm now moving to the next person on my screen next to you, which is Rael. Rael, if you would like to introduce yourself.
So my name is Rael. Can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Rael Coping. By profession, I'm a dietitian in Sea Point. I also have an MBA, and I kind of spend my time between those two fields. It's people and health and understanding numbers and business. And my portfolio at Glendale is strategic excellence. So I'm trying to bring both different skill sets to bear, both in understanding our residents, our clients, and all the excellent services that they achieve, and in terms of the direction of the home and the way we take it going forward, etc. So that's kind of the hat that I wear. It's been so far an unbelievably warm journey. You know, working with the people on the board, it's a really passionate, dedicated team. Nothing's too much, nothing's impossible. So really a humbling experience for me to date, and I'm thrilled to be part of this truly unbelievable team with great leadership. And I must say that's really, you know, I can't emphasize that strongly enough. The whole team, I think, is 100% behind Judith and Shelley, and we'll do whatever is required to support them, because I think everybody's here for the right reasons, and there's no question about everything being done in the interests of our residents and, well, everybody's extended family.
Thank you, Rel. Thank you. And thank you for being so generous. Already you've been so incredibly generous, both with your time and with your skills. And I will be speaking to that a little bit later in the meeting. But already Rel has had an enormous impact on the board in terms of guiding us on the strategic direction and where it is that Glendale is going. I'm now moving to Ayal. Ayal, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Ayal Hermelin. I am a professionally registered mechanical engineer. I've been working in the specialist construction industry for the last 15 years, in and around Cape Town and around Africa. Recently joined the city of Cape Town as the infrastructure engineer. And my journey with Glendale started shortly before COVID. I came to assist when there was a bit of a facilities management and operational crisis there, and created relationships with the residents. And after, just as I was about to move on, Shelley asked me if I'd be interested in joining the board, which I was more than happy to. And yeah, I'm involved in the sustainability of the home, and that's my portfolio. And yeah, I'm just looking to add value where I can. That's my bit.
Thanks, Ayal. I know everyone's being modest this evening, but I think you're being more modest than most. Ayal has so many more skills hidden away. Be it IT to whatever it takes to running Glendale, he seems to know. He can just get in there and help us, bit of maybe like jack of all trades and skilled at all. So I do think Ayal was being very modest this evening. Thank you, Ayal, for all that you do, and always around, and already just been giving so much time to actually helping us. Okay, I see that Leslie, our Vice Chairperson, has joined us. So over to you, Leslie.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm a dentist, but I stopped practicing a few years back. And when Haley mentioned that it feels like a full circle, I also feel like it's a full circle, because in my practice, many of the Glendale residents used to come through, and I got to know them very well. Being part of Glendale has been such a warm, wonderful experience. The management has been really outstanding. The committee members, and having contact with the residents has really, really made me feel almost like I've joined part of a family. My idea of Glendale has always been that it's got to be first choice, and for anybody who needs the facility. And over the last couple of years that I've been involved, I've seen how Glendale has just absolutely thrived. And I think any person who would need a facility would really want to choose Glendale. And just to add that I am so proud to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. And thank you to Leslie, always available when we need anything done. I'm now going to go over to our treasurer, Jonathan. And Jonathan, I think this will merge in very nicely to the second item, which is a financial update. So I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself and then go straight into the financial update. Thanks.
Thank you, Judith. As Judith introduced me, my name is Jonathan Zolti, and I've been the Honorary Treasurer for Glendale for the past 4.5 years. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and a certified information systems auditor with a passion for helping people. And I think that is an awesome fit for my position on the board at Glendale. I've prepared a line that you'll hear from me again in a short time, but I'm going to go straight on because the introduction, like all the expenditure items in the home, is kept very short. Look, I'm extremely humbled by the generosity of all the people on the call. Glendale could not survive or sustain without the support of all the families, the resident fee payments, the generous donations, and the support of the greater community on a whole. In essence, it costs 30,000 Rand per resident per month. With almost 45 residents in the home, it means that we need approximately 16 million Rand a year to keep our amazing home running. Just out of that number, 38% comes from the residents' fees we bill out, and those that can't afford to, and I'm going to come to that point a little bit later, but that's 38% of that 16 million is our net fees. 29% of that comes from donations. 16% is in the support from the community, the UJC appeal, and then 6% from the government in the form of grants. And that together comes to about 90%, which means we have to find the other 11%, as well as hoping that we will receive those donations that we've seen in the past. And in that regard, much of the work that goes on behind the scenes from the board's perspective goes to with regards to contacting previous donations, contact potential donations, looking for opportunities if we can, ask for donations from. That's where Leanne comes into it. But so much is done in leveraging off that donor base and the donor network. And that's where we've got to find that extra 29% just to break even for the year. On that note, our board has set some strategic financial goals. And one of the main ones is sweating our asset. And in the home itself, our biggest asset is obviously our premises, our grounds, and our buildings. We currently receive a small portion of that total income from the school that's on the adjoining premises, but we're looking at expanding this project without affecting the current home to try and eke out a greater return, which can go towards funding our deficit at the end of the year. So I'd like to thank all those who remit their payments for the residential fees in whatever form, those that or families, the residents that pay the full fees. If everybody paid the full fees, if all the residents were full fee payment, we could operate autonomously. We wouldn't need the support of the community. And those families that are paying full fees, we'll be contacting you in the near future just to discuss the long-term financial planning for the loved ones that are in the home. No one's getting any younger, and we need to ensure that there's adequate financial planning in any business or any institution. With regards to families that are paying part of their fees or unable to pay any fees, we'll be contacting you as well. And we just need to update the relief forms that have been done in the past or haven't been done in the past, but we just need to get the updated information. The community is getting more and more strict in this regard when it comes to subsidies. And without these forms, we're going to really struggle to obtain the support we get from the community itself. I'd just like to take one final opportunity to thank everybody for all the payments that are remitted. Those that do make part payment, if we can up those a little bit, every bit helps. And we need to protect this and protect the future of the home and ensure the sustainability of this wonderful institution. I wish everybody a Chag Pesach Kashava Sameach. Thanks, Judy.
So thank you, Jonathan, and thank you for that update. I will now be handing over to Glendale's director, Shelley Korn, to provide a more strategic update on the home.
Hi, everyone. I've prepared a little slide for you because I had a feeling not all of you were able to read the annual report that we sent. So please allow me to just share a screen again. And just, right. Okay, can you see this? Okay, brilliant, thank you. Okay, so we've done a lot of work to really update our direction and where we want to go strategically. And what I want to do is just pave the road a little bit to explain where we came from and where are we at now before I hand over to Judith to discuss where we want to go. We've identified a new vision, and it's a vision we really live by, and that's healthy, active, meaningful lives. And I think that you see it in everything that we do and in the way that we are. There are so many programs in the home. We try to find a nice balance between the clinical management, the activities in the programs, the Yiddishkeit, and the meaningful way of life to offer to our residents. We do this with a bigger mission in mind. We really focus on being holistic in everything we do, and we focus on quality care, as well as other services that we are providing so that we can be inclusive and sustainable for our community in Cape Town. And we do that while we offer dignity and hope to all Jewish adults that get involved with us. And we want in the future to look not just at intellectual disabilities, but also at neurodivergent individuals. That's a big technical term that basically means people who are on the spectrum, people with special needs, intellectual disabilities, as we know, are changing, and we want to make sure that at Glendale we support this gap in our community so those individuals can also make their full potential. And those words that you see on the bottom are really our values. They guide us in everything that we do. We focus on quality care for quality life. We have portfolios on the governing board that are dedicated to looking at that. We try to be courageous and caring in everything that we do. We are also accountable and, of course, Jewish. I've included some of these statistics on the slide today because I want to show you the journey that we've been through. We are really shrinking as a population. And as you know, for those of you who've been with us through COVID, we've also, as a result, closed 2 units at the home. In 2019, we were 51 residents. We're now 45 residents. Before COVID, we used to only offer housing and food and safety, right? Now, we also have people in home-based care and people on daycare programs. We used to have only 80% room occupancy. We now actually, since this slide that was in our annual report, we are fully booked. So what our journey has taught us that there are changing needs in our community that we need to look at. We need to start thinking of other services which are not just residential. And they also taught us that we need to think beyond the home, beyond just nursing or a place to eat and sleep. And I think a testimony to that is the care and wellness programs that we started offering. We are no longer just house and shelter. And you can see that we've actually, how we moved through the number of programs, through the different change of care model. We focus way more on stimulation, on activities. We've got retirement programs, we've got vocational programs, we've got fitness and wellness programs. Guys are now getting education in the afternoon. They're gaining life skills and all sorts of other adult education at their level. Really, we have become so much more than a place to live and a place to be at. And what I really also want to talk to you a little bit more about before I hand over to Judith is just where we are going to. Because there are big changes in Jewish Care Cape, the welfare umbrella organization we fall under. As you know, There are 7 other organizations under that umbrella, and as a whole, as a community, we're looking to consolidate those organizations into 3 streams of services. So there will be a stream for the aged. Currently, that would we are looking at Highlands House and Cape Seniors. Really, there will become a continuum of services that will offer of services for the aged people in our community. We have run many workshops with a Vision 2040 project that I will tell you about to understand what are the needs, what are the gaps, what would be the needs in 20 years from now, with the aim to create a continuum of services there. There is also a need to have a continuum of services for the disabled. And here the primary focus is on Astra and Glendale, who are dealing with intellectual, psychosocial, and physical disabilities. JCS in part is also offering these services. And we this year will be looking, Glendale and Astra have started looking together at what can they do towards met and unmet needs and gaps. How can we better serve our cohort and those that are waiting for services and we're still not providing them with anything they need. There is a 3rd stream of services, which is the relief. And here the primary focus is on JCS and Orania and Hama. And here we're looking at financial relief, food securities, and issues like that. And obviously in our little ecosystem of Glendale, it means that we have to start working much closer with Astra so that the disabled people in our community will get what they need. There is also the Vision 2040 project. Cape Town Jewish Community Vision 2040 project is what they call themselves. That's a project that was initiated in 2018. I don't know if you've heard anything about that project. That project is looking at the long-term sustainability of the Cape Town Jewish community and how to future-proof us for 2040. They are driving big agenda of sustainability, and within they've decided to prioritize Jewish Care Cape for shared services. And what all of us organizations are looking to achieve is to actually have one shared platform of services for all the support services. So really, instead of each one of us have HR, to have one HR for all 7, and IT and marketing and fundraising and accounting and all those other support services that we currently run in duplications. It's much easier said than done, but we've been working with them for, I would say, 2 years over this, and in the last 18 months, very proactively. And that again will bring Jewish Care Cape much closer together. And it will very much affect our kitchen. It will affect our administration and accounting and finance, but in a good way, in an exciting way, because we do want to be sustainable. That's it from me. I'm going to stop sharing. If you have any questions, we're going to have more questions at the end, but I'm going to now hand over to Judith.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you for that lead in about JCC and Vision 2040. I'm going to embellish a little bit more because I don't think everyone on the call is as familiar with all these programs that are going on. So, and I am aware we've also got people joining us from outside of South Africa, and they may not be as aware as to what is going on in Cape Town. So some of you may have heard this before, but just to recap, Vision 2040, as Shelley said, began just prior to COVID. It was set up through the United Jewish Campaign, which is the main funding arm of the Jewish community here in Cape Town. And it's working through what is called the Priorities Board, which is a committee of UJC, the United Jewish Campaign. And essentially, they're looking at what is our Cape Town Jewish community going to look like in 2040? And a lot of research has been done. And what we know is that our community is shrinking. I'm sorry, I've got a coffee machine going in the background. I'll stop. Okay, stop. That our community is shrinking in Cape Town. It will essentially halve over the next 20 years from approximately 14,000 people to about 7,500. We also know that our community is aging. And in fact, we have a very skewed population in that instead of having a curve which goes out like this with your younger generation at the bottom, our curve is actually inverted with the aged up at the top. And a lot of this can be attributed to many factors, some such as the number of people who are leaving South Africa currently. And what this also means, so that with the shrinking population, is that we also have fewer donors and a diminishing donor base moving forward. So that is the reality that we're dealing with. We're getting smaller, we're aging, and we've got fewer donors. And so this is a conversation that is now going on within the community. And what everyone is trying to do is trying to identify what will be the future needs of our community. So for example, what has really been identified as an area in which much work is required is in the area of aging, and that many more services will need to be provided to community members, especially given the fact that many of our aged currently living in South Africa, their children live overseas. They don't have family here in Cape Town, many of them, to rely on and to care for them as they age. And so therefore, a lot of that responsibility will fall on the community to provide those services. So Shelley chatted about the shared services, which is one of the big ideas, and you'll hear that term being thrown around the community at the moment. Essentially, on the Vision 2040 team, it's a big team of highly skilled individuals, from actuaries to accountants to sort of well-known people from the business sector, and essentially they are analyzing all of the communal organizations, not just the care organizations. And they're trying to see if through this in-depth analysis, they can come up with strategies as to how we can run more efficiently in order that we can continue to be the effective caring community that we currently are. So Glendale, as like all the other care organizations, is actively working with the Vision 2040 team in order to ensure that we too can welcome the benefits that their work will bring to us. Perhaps just to, in case, I know when I first heard shared services, I was like, what is this about? Okay, I'm going to give like one of the most simplest examples, just so that everyone can understand. Take, for example, we have numerous organizations here in Cape Town. The community owns just under 100 buildings in Cape Town. That is a massive property portfolio. Take insurance, for example. Imagine the kind of leverage if the community were to approach and get quotations for insurance for their buildings. They could leverage a far better cost-effective deal where we will get so much more at a far better price. And that is essentially the idea behind shared services, as to what it is that you can do to come together to give you more leverage so that it works within each of the individual organizations' best interests. Shelley's also spoken about Jewish Care Cape. So there are a number of different streams in terms of strategy in the future that are actually happening currently in Cape Town. We got the Vision 2040 project running. We then also, through Jewish Care Cape, working together. You may have heard that acronym, Together as One, which was used a lot during the COVID period, is that these organizations are engaging far more closely than what they ever did in the past in order to ensure that there's no duplication of services, in order to see how between them they can also share skills or work more closely so that the individual organizations are more effective. And we're seeing this as Glendale and Astra, together with their group homes, Frinder House and Rose Court, slowly but surely there is more interaction happening both at the executive level through the governing board and the through the Astra committee to see how it is that we can work more closely. And this has often been spoken about in the past, but there has not been much action. This time, everyone is on board and they want to see action. And I think that this is borne out by the fact that one of the first decisions that have been made is that the respective chairpersons of Glendale and Astra will be co-opted and have been co-opted onto each other's boards in order that the organizations at that executive level and strategic level can become closer and see how they are aligned and how it is that we could work more closely together in the future, how we can share more between each other. And there has even been, and we'll say this out front, there has been some talk of should there even be a potential merger in the future. There are some people who are saying, of course you must merge, you do the same work, but we know these organizations are different. They've got different cultures, they've got different histories, they've got different brands. So there would be a lot of talking that would need to go on. But one thing we know is we do need to become closer as we go together and as we go forward. The third stream in terms of strategic work that is going on currently is the strategic work of the Glendale Governing Board. And I think Shelley has already alluded to some of the work that has been done, and yeah, we really need to acknowledge Rail, is he spent numerous hours doing a lot of work trying to look into the future and see, in terms of the number of residents we have, what is Glendale going to look like? This is not an exact science. Nobody has a crystal ball that will tell them exactly what the future is going to look like. But it certainly is going to indicate to us a trend and certainly give us a good enough idea as to what exactly it is that is happening. What we know is that by 2030, we would expect that Glendale has about 23 residents, and that by 2040, we would expect that Glendale would have about 9 residents. We all know the size of Glendale and the size of the Glendale property. Already today, I was there going around Glendale. There's so much space, which even currently is not being used because Glendale has got smaller. So what is Glendale going to do about this? And it's not just a case of space. And I think this is why it's so important that we are beginning this discussion with families who we recognize as an important stakeholder this evening. What we need to understand is that to run Glendale costs a certain amount of money. And there are certain items on Glendale's budget that whether we have 70 residents, 50 residents, 23 or 9, those costs remain relatively stable. We're speaking about things such as the upkeep of the building. We're speaking about government compliance, which is incredibly strict and which we have to comply with in order to remain open. So requirements such as to have an OT, requirements such as to have full-time nursing staff, okay? So there's certain costs which are just going to remain. Take security, for example. Currently, security is costing us approximately 500,000 a year. Now, whether we have 20 residents or 50 residents, the number of security guards we have remains the same. But where does that cost go to? It goes towards fees increasing. And from the work that Rail has done, he's managed to do some projections, and we may in fact do even more projections on this. But we will essentially reach what they call a tipping point, if you are familiar with the work of Malcolm Gladwell, where what we would be charging you as family, and also by virtue thereof, the community who fund those who cannot afford Glendale, we would land up having to charge extraordinarily high fees, fees that would actually be unconscionable to charge. Imagine, for example, if Glendale just continues as it is, and we do nothing about this. We're seeing this looming challenge coming closer and closer, and we do nothing, and we just keep on upping the fees each year. Before you know, the fees, which are currently below 30,000, will be up into 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 within a few years. And one is just paying because to keep this large building and structure open is costing so much money. Are we going to ignore the challenge? Are we going to stick our heads into the sand? No, we're going to take this challenge on very, very actively. And that is a lot of the work which the board has been doing, and why we want to speak to you tonight about it, because we know that people in the community are going to start speaking about it. And we want you to hear this information from us first, and know that you can come to us if you do hear any rumors or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. So what have we been doing? And we're going to be open and transparent about everything that we are doing. There's already been mentioned that the land is our greatest asset, and we need to sweat the asset. And it is clear to us that therein lies the answer to this enormous challenge we face. We are asking questions at the moment. We are speaking to people. We are consulting. We don't have answers. When we open up the question and answer sessions, you're going to ask us questions. We are not going to be able to answer them yet, but you may ask a question that we have not thought of, but which needs to be explored. So some of the things that we have done is we have brought some very well seasoned property people on board. Some of you in Cape Town may be familiar with Arthur Levine, for example. We also had Samuel Seif visit the Glendale campus today. Samuel Seif of Seif Properties. He's also the chairperson of the Priorities Board. And if we are to take any big decision about Glendale and the property, we would need to go to them. We also need to determine, so what is the Glendale property? What is it worth? As you know, we are currently renting out part of the property. So we decided we need to get a valuation done on the property to find out, are we in fact charging enough rent? At this stage, it looks as if we may well be undercharging. At the same time, we've got the school asking us if we've got any more space for them. So already we're thinking in our minds, we've got a school on our premises. They want a bit more space. We've got a bit more space. Maybe we should be looking at some sort of lease. But then we're also looking at what is the future? What is going to happen in the long term? And one thing we know for certain, that however we go about exploring this matter, there is one principle which has to remain first and foremost throughout. The residents of Glendale are priority number one. No decision can or will be taken which will compromise in any way the level of care which they receive. That cannot be compromised, and that is a non-negotiable in terms of what it is that we will be doing. So moving forward in future months, we're going to be bringing Vision 2040 and all the experts that they've got on board. We're going to be speaking to them about this enormous challenge which Glendale faces. It's getting smaller, it's getting more expensive to run, and this is unsustainable. We're going to be speaking to Vision 2040 about that. And as we reach out to people in our community, we are once again reminded what an incredible Cape Town community we have. Just the other evening, I was at an event. Lance Katz, some of you may know him. He's an actuary by training. I mentioned to him, we have a challenge at Glendale. I said we could do with some actuarial calculations. He's put his hand up. He says, I'm there. I will assist you. Today, when Samuel Seif came along, when Arthur Levine came along, these are people who are highly regarded in their professions. And when we say to them, we have identified this challenge and we need an answer, and we need to take decisions, and they need to be informed, and we need to know that it's the right decision for our residents. People are stepping forward to assist us and to help us. And so we are going to continue on this journey, because we cannot sit back and wait in order to wake up one day and realize that we've got a crisis. That will be a crisis for the Glendale residents, and we cannot allow that to happen. So we don't know at this stage what is going to happen with the Glendale land. Will we lease it? Would we maybe sometime in the future want to sell it? Do we maybe need to consider selling and moving elsewhere? We don't know. All the options are on the table, with the principle that we need to consult with the relative role players. We need to answer all the questions, and we have the responsibility, not just the board, but the entire community and our stakeholders, such as our family members, to ensure that whatever decisions we take to make Glendale sustainable in the future, that we have this enormous responsibility on our shoulders, and we have to do the right thing by our residents in the future. I think I'm going to pause there. I've said a lot, but I've not given you any answers because we don't have answers at this stage. But we want you to know that there are these conversations that are going on, and you are welcome to engage with us at any point. So at this stage, I will open the floor for any comments or for any questions that there may be. To digest some of what it is that I've said, we will also hold more meetings. Should you have not understood anything, or you would prefer to have a private conversation with either Shelley, myself, or Ayel, or anyone on the board, you are more than willing to do that. I think what is clear to all of us is that this is a complex process. It's not simple, and they're not simple answers. And we need to approach it. I can hear is somebody trying to ask a question?
It's me, Eddie Scheuer.
Ah, Eddie.
And his dad. Judith, as far as I believe, talking for myself and possibly families of others, is that while Shelley is around doing what she's doing, making us as happy as we are with what's partaking in Glendale, is that does she serve on all these decision boards that if we want to pick up the phone and she has 5 minutes to talk to us, instead of waiting for meetings of this kind, that she would be updated at all times with what decisions you guys have in mind?
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. That is an excellent question. And to assure everyone, Shelley is very involved in all of these different bodies, okay? So this is the strategic role of the director. We as a board are there to support Shelley, and for us to be there for her. So Vision 2040, for example, she is involved in all the meetings. Shelley goes to even more Vision 2040 meetings than what I do, because they have meetings with the executive structures together with the directors, but they also have meetings just with the directors. Shelley's involved at board level. Shelley is involved with all the different subcommittees we have formed to deal with this. The Jewish Care Cape, the JCC structure, is made up of the chairpersons and the directors. So yes, Shelley is involved at all stages with what is going on, and you're more than welcome to lift the phone with her, chat to her, to brainstorm matters, ask questions. She definitely is there for the families, as she always is.
Thank you. That answers that.
Okay, then I see that it's now 6:59, so we started a few minutes late, but I think we can end. I think at this stage, perhaps just to ask from Shelley's side, is there, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm sure Shelley would like to have a parting word with everyone. So over to Shelley. Shelley, you need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judith, and thank you, everyone. Just a couple of words about Pesach this year. Our Pesach this year is on the theme of independence. We've started practicing for the Haggadah. And if you remember, last year we did a video Haggadah that involved the residents, the staff, and the families. And as we pulled out the Haggadah to start practicing again this year, our residents felt that this year they wanted to drive all of it on their own. And so following their request, we're making changes to the Haggadah so that it would be a resident-led Haggadah. And they also want to do a resident-led Pesach. As you know, Pesach this year falls on Friday night and Saturday night. And it also, when we have Easter and Eid. And so we are going to have our first ever resident-led Seder. Of course, our staff will be there. And of course, they will have this resource that they have made for themselves. And what's very special about this year's Pesach, about this year's Seder, is that because of COVID, for the last 2 years, our residents have been celebrating in their units, sitting separately and eating in their units. We have found a way to bring them together to the hall. They will still be sitting within their unit setup, but we will be there all together in a safe and COVID compliant way. And they are just so excited about it. I'm sorry that we couldn't brought you yet to join with them. And hopefully by next year, it's not going to be an issue. But as for this year, it will be an independent resident-led Seder. And we will send you videos and we will send you pictures post-Seder, of course. And if there are any video messages that you would like the staff to play for the residents during the Pesach, please feel free to send them on to me by Thursday morning so that I can weave it into their resource kit for the Seder. That's it.
Thank you, Shelley. And I hope that everyone has an excellent Pesach. And I'm sure at Glendale it's going to be a particularly joyful experience this year. Thank you for all the
children are growing up.
The excitement is rising at Glendale. Thanks, Shelley. And thank you to all the board members for making yourselves available this evening.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Edna, this year for Pesach, and it is the very first ever resident.
Judith, I'm the host. I'm just waiting for everybody to leave before I kick.
Okay, no problem. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being host.